And what he's insinuating is that the US's light is dimming down and he wants to be the one to step into it. And what have we seen the last couple of years, right? A very strategic attack on the values, on the culture, on the population of the US, culture against culture, background against background, skin color against skin color.
There is a video on the internet where he goes through the 4 steps that anybody would take to overthrow a government. The first step is demoralization. It seeks to erode a society's values, cultural foundations, and faith in its institutions. Sound familiar?
Let's say something happens, or a terrorist attack happens, or a mass shooting. The moment that the veil gets transparent enough to you to see who's behind that type of stuff, that's when your entire reality starts to crumble.
So it begs the question, was Kanye right?
Maybe Kanye's not crazy, bro. Maybe he's been the guy crying wolf this whole time.
So Adelio.
Yes, sir.
What are we covering today, man?
Dude, today I want to get into what the president of China, Xi Jinping, said not too long ago. This is a tweet from him. He said, "The world can move on without the United States. 100 years ago, the British Empire dominated global commerce, commanding more than 20% of the world's wealth. Many believed its sun would never set. 200 years ago, France bestrode, I've never seen that word in my life, bestrode Europe's stage. Its armies feared, its culture envied. Napoleon declared himself immortal. 400 years ago, the Spanish crown, you get it. He's talking about how the powers of the world have had their time, their moment. And that light kind of gets dimmed and taken up by someone else. And what he's insinuating is that the US's light is dimming down and he wants to be the one to step into it. What do you think about this, dude?
I think that there are certainly truths to what he's saying. Mm-hmm. Now, to say that we would be superseded as the global power, it's a possibility. I don't know if it happens overnight, but it could certainly happen, especially if, with World War III brewing, which again is also a real possibility, which I think was when he made this tweet was also around the same exact time of everything happening with Iran is when he decided to make that post. The world can absolutely move on without. It's just like America. I mean, how long has America even been around?
Yeah, like we're a young country, man. Like
300 years.
This is the thing too. Like I do think that somebody like Ping, I don't want to butcher his name because I've only said it a handful of times.
Yeah.
But somebody like him, to me, not only does he seem like, he's this kind of power hungry guy. He's running his country in a communistic, hybrid, capitalistic thing. Because this is the thing. Like he started off communist and he realized that the communism kind of framework for running a country is not sustainable. He had to move from communism and to start allowing certain amount of people in his party to be able to run their own businesses, run part of the government in a capitalistic way, because that was the only way to survive. Now, when you already have a track record like that, to me, what that says is that you're a little bit opportunistic. Like you're looking at the opportunity presented in front of you and you're trying to capitalize on that. That's a smart person. Mm-hmm. Like we're not dealing with an idiot here. But in order to capitalize on the U.S. being a power that's starting to lose its light and its shine on the rest of the world, you really do have to foment that. You have to start pushing for the demise of a country, the demise of a culture. And what have we seen the last couple of years, right? Like we've seen what I would think is a very strategic attack on the values, on the culture, on the population of the US, where they're pitting us against each other, culture against culture, background against background, skin color against skin color. And little by little, that starts to erode what the fucking country is supposed to stand about. Like the whole ideal of this place is to be the beacon and light for the rest of the world, to understand, hey, there's a better way to do things. We can be free and we can still have all the opportunity in the world. But I mean, to me, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he's a bit opportunistic, and that's something to be careful about, right?
Oh man, it's a little terrifying when you kind of think about what that could mean for the United States, because when you start looking at, like, obviously we just had an election that just took place, right? And for the last 4 years, you look at this and say, "Oh, it's the Democrats' fault." And then you look at it now, and like there's a lot of people even today that were very, very pro-Trump that are also not pro-Trump today.
Yeah.
Right. And I think here's what I do believe. I believe that is a move in the right direction, because what I think is happening is people are now maintaining the ability to switch their views and to be objective and to think objectively about things, which is exactly what the president of China, Jinping, I don't want to butcher his name either, but exactly what he did, communistic country. And then he's like, well, this isn't sustainable. Let me make some adjustments. So if he can make those adjustments, we need to make those adjustments. And I think that hopefully we're moving in the right direction, but there's no guarantee that we are.
Right. Yeah.
No guarantee. And I think part of the big issue more than anything is propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do we actually believe? Like, what are we forced to believe? Because depending on what news outlets you're consuming, you have different views on everything. If you're actually outside of the United States, or probably even in the UK, like, you're calling for Bibi Netanyahu to be arrested for war crimes. Like, you want him to go in. And a lot of people, even in Israel, his own people want him to be arrested for war crimes, because if we look back in October 7th, right, there's a lot to say about whether or not that was a setup or whether or not they had no knowledge of it, even though there's a lot of evidence to support.
Yeah, it's a huge gray area.
They had knowledge of it and allowed it to happen so that they have a reason to go to war.
Yeah.
Even if you're in support of that, that doesn't justify the things that he did in Gaza. Like, you see the drone footage of Gaza?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Dude, like, imagine that's your kids. Imagine that's your family.
Yeah.
How would that make you feel? Like, even if you're an American and even if you're in agreement and you side with Israel, but you think about like that, it's like, bro, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's insane. I mean, when it comes to that entire theater, because that's what I think it is. So we're looking at a play. We're looking at a stage where there's a theater going on, and the audience is just paying attention, right? The important thing is to start to realize, like, whenever you're looking at a play, whenever you go to the theater or the movies or whatever, the opera, pick your poison. You have the ability to walk out of that theater if you don't like what you're watching, right? Like, a lot of the things that we're, I guess, being fed is manipulated. Like, a lot of the things that we're seeing online, a lot of the things that we're starting to believe or share or like get into, these are things that for a long time there has been factions and powers in the world that have made it their objective, one of their main objectives, to be able to control the narrative on things. We saw that, my family and I saw that firsthand in Venezuela, right? Like, in Venezuela, when we were at the pinnacle of our development, we were one of the US's favorite country. Why? Because we had a ton of oil. We were very friendly. We were very close to the US. And that really just made it super easy for the leadership in the US to have a great relationship with us. And it allowed the Venezuelan country and the Venezuelan people to evolve and to grow and to go really, really hard into development. The entirety of Venezuela got extra developed because of the US. And you can see that in a lot of different places, especially when there's a place where the US can take advantage of whatever natural resource they have. But at a certain point, you kind of saw that same playbook play out where, all right, there's a little bit of a friction here. We're not really getting what we want. So let's try and see what we can do to make it easier to have access to oil. Something happens, maybe a false flag event, which is a very, very controversial thing these days, right? Like, a false flag event is typically something that we kind of know that the powers that be have as a playbook. These are things that they are they know work. They understand that they can get a lot of people behind, and they can start influencing things to go their way. So if you have a false flag event, like let's say something happens, or a terrorist attack happens, or a mass shooting, the moment that the veil gets transparent enough to you to see who's behind that type of stuff, and to understand that maybe this was a script writer for the play that you were supposed to be sitting down watching, that's when your entire reality starts to crumble. A lot of people go through that little narrow space, and they come out completely changed. Some people don't even want to step into that place. But I think it's required for you to be able to think critically and think for yourself, and not let some sort of like adjusted narrative play out.
Yeah, you get propagated whatever they want you to see, and then you just become a puppet at that point, which obviously this is what the show is about.
Yeah.
So you talked about the process of like how certain governments may even possibly be like overthrown. Have you ever seen the video? What was his name? Yuri. Let me pull him up. The former KGB director. Did you see this?
No.
Sorry, former KGB defector. But there's a video on the internet where he goes through the 4 steps that anybody would take to overthrow a government. Now, here are the steps that he describes on how the Soviet Union would overthrow America. The first step is demoralization. This prolonged stage estimates that it'll take 15 to 20 years for demoralization to occur. Now, this was in 1984 that he went public with this. 15 to 20 years. It seeks to erode a society's values, cultural foundations, and faith in its institutions. Tactics include influencing the educational system and media to alter public perception of reality. Sound familiar?
Jesus Christ.
Step number 2 is destabilization. The goal here is to create instability by disrupting the nation's economy, politics, and social structures. This stage can take 2 to 5 years. Number 3, crisis. This is a critical point of upheaval for emergency that could lead to societal collapse. And then number 4 is normalization. In this final stage, a new status quo is established, often involving the implementation of policies that solidify the subverter's control or influence.
Jesus Christ.
Is there a lot of crisis happening right now?
I mean, there's it's an entire parallel universe that's playing to the tune of that drum. I mean, everything that we've seen from the last couple of decades is exactly that. Maybe not in the same kind of rhythm or the same kind of maybe time frame. I feel like some things might have taken a little bit longer than the time frame that they were talking about. But I mean, you could see it. You could see how there's huge factions, right? Giant corporations who start slowly but surely gobbling up things, and maybe a network here, a network there, newspaper, right? Like we've seen that a couple of years ago, like how Bezos bought the Washington Post, or how Zuckerberg has been slowly eating up a lot of different competitors, a lot of different technologies, just monopolizing things. How is that not that playbook that we're talking about, right? Like,
so for the audience, why would somebody want to buy up all of your competitors on social media or news outlets? Why would what's the benefit of doing that?
I mean, controlling not only the narrative, but being able to subvert whatever opposition you might start to encounter. Because the important thing to understand is on anything, on any path in life, there's going to be opposition. There's going to be something that you want to do and some sort of resistance to that. But when we're talking about powers, we're talking about people that are beyond the regular experience of you and me and most of our watchers, we're talking about somebody who's transcended that, and all they're looking at is how much power and how much dominance they can achieve. This is where you typically end up. You end up in a place where you are no longer looking at reality or playing by the rules of the rest of humanity, and you're trying to completely shift the board so that you can have the easiest moment, the easiest time getting what it is that you want.
And right now we're in an interesting place in time. What is today? The 27th of June, 2025, in case somebody sees this years later.
Yeah.
But we're in a place where for the last 4 years, most of America was fed up. We knew we were being lied to. The COVID, like how many businesses COVID actually shut down? There's substantial evidence that's supporting ivermectin and other medicines like that have helped resolve COVID and other sicknesses and things of that nature as well. But because it can't be monetized to the degree that pharmaceutical companies want it to be, it's being condemned. And and if you talked about it, Joe Rogan's a perfect example. He talked about his personal experience of, hey, I took this when I had COVID and I felt better almost immediately. Like within 24 hours, I felt like all my symptoms of COVID were gone. And then what happened? The world came crashing down on him, misinformation. He's a liar. He needs to get canceled.
Yeah.
Because he was sharing his own personal experience. Because, but he's not a medical doctor. But now there's studies that are out that reveal it's true.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the same people who were condemning it and calling for him to be canceled are also admitting that ivermectin actually works.
Yep.
Can we cancel that guy?
Right. And there's no retribution either. Like there's no repercussions for the people that were legitimately trying to take away the livelihood of somebody, right? Like somebody like Joe, he obviously is well off, but he's been working for a long time to get to the place where he's at, right? He's had this disciplined approach to things and it's obviously paid off. But so quickly can be taken away by just the implementation of one of these powers to just throw their entire chips at you. And this is what the entire game is. This is how the theater gets played. If you are an actor, right, you're a bad actor in the eyes of most people. Your ability to have more tools in your tool belts, right? Like if you have the media behind you, if you have a big thing back in the COVID times was the bots that were on Twitter. That's one of the biggest things that Elon was talking about before he acquired it was like, hey, there's something going on here where like I think you're lying to me about the amount of bots that are actually accounts, verified accounts or accounts that have full privileges on that platform. And he figured it out. He figured out that there was a ton of bots. And that was part of the manipulation, being able to really shift the narrative or take whatever it is that you're saying and just completely destroy it. Take the foundation out of it, take all the truth out of it, and then just attack it from multiple different angles to the place where like the people that are actually sending those signals out and ordering those things to happen, they didn't even have to do anything because it was all done for them. That's what real power is. That's the level of influence that a lot of these people, a lot of these big players in the global stage are vying after. They just want to be able to not have to deal with the opposition and just snuff it out in a second.
So you talk about the ability to suppress information and control the narrative, and even using bots to a degree to silence people.
Yeah.
And then, when people like the average person doesn't know that these are bots, right? So they're just like, oh, well, let's jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
Let's cancel that guy.
Tia Rita on Facebook is not knowing that all these different things that she's seeing on her feed are artificial. They have no idea.
Yeah. And then in their mind, like it's, as a normal person, you're thinking, maybe if you have an opposing view, you see this and you're like, maybe I should hold my opinions to myself because I don't want to be what's happening to this guy.
Yes.
Which also reminds me, there was a video I saw recently. Let's talk about suppressing. And I was watching a show and it broke down something that I thought was really, really interesting. Naftali Bennett, who ended up becoming, by the way, the Prime Minister of Israel. In 2010, there's a video of them and they had a group of their people and they were teaching Wikipedia, but I don't want to take away what he's going to say. I'll just let the video of Naftali Bennett. This is him, a real video in 2010, and let's see what he has to say.
With this, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn more about how...
Jesus fucking Christ.
This was a prime minister
Of Israel.
of Israel.
Hmm.
And they're having tech days, which are teaching their people how to go on Wikipedia and edit, maybe omit information to fit a narrative that is balanced, but Zionist
Right. Yeah.
in nature.
Obviously, they have an objective. Like, they have an objective that is so clear and so pointed that they need to be able to control anything that could deviate from that objective.
Yes.
So interesting that they were doing this back in the day with actual people. Like, that was a whole room filled with trainees, essentially, right? Like, you're training these people to be able to obviously influence, Zionist pages or Israeli pages or things that have to do with the government. So
American pages.
American pages, right? Because you could really edit whatever you want on Wikipedia, so as you go through that editing process. But let's assume that you're one of those editors that maybe catches something that's maybe a little too Zionist, whatever that means, right, to you. And you start adjusting it, or you submit an edit so that they can change it. I'm assuming that they were doing this back then so that there could be so many eyes on those pages that the moment that something got edited, to shift from what they wanted, they could submit a counter edit and then edit it back. Because I don't think there's a limit on how many times you can edit a Wikipedia page, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they were doing that back then with actual humans.
Is there a final sign-off that has to occur on Wikipedia?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm assuming there is a process where you get approved as an editor, but I just don't know what the criteria is. There's got to be something, right? It can't just be anybody can just go up there and edit whatever they want.
Okay.
You should be able to have some sort of credentials or some sort of verification process before you're allowed to essentially change narratives. Because everybody in the world has access to Wikipedia. So many people go to Wikipedia still for access to information. Maybe if you're not on, today's bandwagon of AI and talking to AI for information, maybe you're still going to Wikipedia. Maybe you're still going to Google. And these are all giant tech companies, giant platforms that are shaping narrative. They're shaping the way that you view the world, the way that you view actions and reactions by powers and by countries. If they were doing that with actual people back then, what's to say that they're not doing that with bots and AI nowadays, so that they can not only maximize the amount of eyes and the amount of presence to modify things, but just really be efficient with it, not really letting anything get through the cracks, right? Like, I think there's some huge happening right now. People can sniff it out. People can start to see, like, hey, maybe my feed is a little too skewed one way or another, even if I'm trying to influence my own algorithm by curating what I'm watching.
Yeah.
I think people can tell.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Like, even just for context, like, love my dad to death, but like, I can't have a conversation with him about anything because the blinders are on, and whatever he sees on Newsmax is absolute fact. Indisputable, non-negotiable, absolute fact.
Yeah.
The question is, what media outlets can we actually trust? And if we can't trust media outlets, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, who's ChatGPT, I saw an article the other day that he was concerned that so many people trust AI. And the CEO of OpenAI is saying we shouldn't trust it. Isn't that weird? Like, and this is his company.
Yeah.
And he has concerns that we shouldn't trust it. Yet everybody, including myself and probably you to a degree, openly trusts AI because in most cases, it's just too efficient.
Yeah.
It's too efficient, and you can probably do better work depending on what you're looking to do. But like even in terms of like content editing, right? Which is what I use it for most because I suck at editing, right? But I use it for them. Like I trust it's going to do a much better job than I can, and it can do it much faster than I can. Yeah. So I'm just going to allow it to work its magic, and whatever happens is whatever happens. Yeah. If I don't like it, then I just don't post it.
Right.
But a lot of times people nowadays like talk to their AI. Mm-hmm. And they trust their AI to give them all the information that they need.
Exactly.
So here, I got something else that's also very, very interesting for you. I know.
What are you doing to us?
You know, I'm normally not the guy who's pulling things up when I'm looking at videos, but I thought this was very revealing.
Is it about Sam Altman? Because I have another notion about Sam.
Pull up the thing on Sam Altman if you would like, but here's the one that I was targeting.
Yeah.
Look at this. And it says, who runs the world?
Who was in charge of the CDC that was controlling and telling our government to shut down small businesses and what they recommend for the mandates, the vaccine, and Pfizer, and all? At the time when COVID was being enacted, I'm going to read off the staff of who was in charge of this CDC. The director of the CDC was Rochelle Walensky, dual citizenship with Israel. She's a Jew. Deputy director of the CDC, Anne Schwalch, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC chief of staff, Sherry Berger, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC chief medical officer, Mitchell Wolf, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. CDC director of the Washington office. This is pertinent to the topic. We're talking about COVID, right?
Yeah. They're trying to silence him. Why?
This is pertinent to COVID. So, I love you, Jennifer. Yeah, please. So, director of the CDC of the Washington office, Jeff Resnick, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. COVID SAR, Jeff Zaitz, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. COVID senior advisor, Andy Slavitt, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Assistant of Health Secretary for Human Services for our country, the Assistant of Health Secretary, Rachel Levine, transgender, dual citizenship with Israel, yes, Jew.
I ask that you hold off, Christopher.
Ma'am,
why are they silencing him?
The chair has ruled that your comments are out of order. She's asked you to stop.
Out of order.
How's it out? And the audience is saying, how's this out of order? Yeah. All he said was Jew. He's just identifying them, not derogatory. Exactly. It's the same thing as if you're saying Catholic.
Okay, yes. Keep on going now. Head of Pfizer vaccines, Albert dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Pfizer chief scientist Michael Dostin, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Moderna chief scientist Paul Zacks, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. BlackRock, everyone know BlackRock? BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. I said we're willing to sacrifice our ego, our reputation, and our lives. Yes, ma'am, and I love you, and I appreciate your patience. BlackRock president, Rob Capital, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. The CDC chief medical officer of Johnson & Johnson, Joanne Walsh-Riker, dual citizenship with Israel, Jew. Chief medical officer, Michael Rosenthal, Jew.
I'm still going. He's being escorted out.
Holy fuck. I haven't seen that. This was the hearings that they were having, right? Mm-hmm. Right before they approved a lot of these emergency vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw that until now.
So it begs the question, was Kanye right? Like, maybe Kanye's not fucking crazy, bro. Like, maybe he's not crazy.
Maybe he's been the guy crying wolf this whole time.
So, like, I heard something the other day that I thought was so interesting, man. It was so interesting.
Yeah.
And it was Andrew Tate. You either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
But Andrew Tate was talking about Diddy. And it made me think of something because it wasn't something I actually thought of. Because you think of Diddy right now, you're like, that is a fucking scumbag. Like, disgusting, animal, all of the things. And Andrew Tate said, when I looked at it, I thought, I didn't think like, oh, this guy's an animal. I don't know what the truth is.
Mm-hmm.
But who did he piss off? Who is he disobeying? Who's he refusing to submit to? Because then when you start laying it all out and you lay out all the facts before he got taken in, 2 weeks before he got taken in, there's a video of him released with him and Cassie from 10 years ago that he was abusing her and he chasing her down a hallway and then she ends up crying, leaving, what have you. 10 years ago. That video was released 2 weeks before they took him in with a RICO case. They set him up. You think the timing's coincidental? Maybe. Or maybe it's just convenient.
True. Yeah, who knows? Like, this is the thing that the theater is a master of, right? Like, you can put up a play and you can improvise. You could have lines, you can improvise, and you can really go whichever way you want. The biggest plays and the most, I guess, engaging plays are the ones that are constantly keeping your attention. They're demanding your attention. And that's what magic is too, right? Like, a magic trick is look over here while I do something over here. That's all that is. It's just a manipulation of your attention. So if we're applying actual critical thinking to everything that's going on, and we start allowing ourselves to be certain one way or the other, that's when we're giving up our power to whatever is going on in the play. We're looking at the thing and we're just allowing it to influence us, when in reality, the best way forward is to be agnostic. You have to have no hard line one way or the other. You have to just be able to soak everything in, because that's the only way for you to have all the facts. The only way that you're going to be able to make up your mind on what's actually going on is to be vulnerable enough to put yourself in front of the thing that you don't want to see, the thing that you don't want to listen to. Because maybe there's something behind that message, behind the person that's saying whatever it is that they're saying, that starts to flip a switch in your head. It starts to give you an indice of like, oh, maybe there's something deeper, bigger going on here. Because that's something that we also saw in Venezuela. The opposition of the people that were opposing the regime ended up we all found out later on through our own research and our own critical thinking, they're all paid and bought for. They were a puppet presented in front of us so that we could have something to rally behind. Because the biggest thing that you can do to a starving nation is to give them hope. And that's how you start getting them again. Because before they go into multiple starvation cycles, you can only do that so many times before they snap, right? The whole French Revolution. That's what that was. So they have learned how to manipulate and how to keep you on a string, the slow boil of the frog, so to speak, for a long time. And this is a playbook that's been getting iterated and evolved for a long time. The only way that I personally think that we're going to be able to escape this play, get out of the theater, is doing exactly that. Being able to distance yourself enough from right or left, cancel culture, or too much to the right, whatever it is. You have to distance yourself from all that stuff. Go back to who it is that you know you are and start applying critical thinking to all the things that you're being presented with, because it's probably a farce. It's probably some sort of play.
And question everything.
Like,
when you see something, is this really true? And I think you said, like, there's no hard line. I think the only hard lines that you can truly hold are value-based lines, right? Like, don't believe in murder. Don't believe in murdering or hurting children, kids, women, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you have to remain neutral. That's the only way you could do it, and almost objective, to where you're trying to poke holes into things that are presented as fact.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, you just end up a sheep, which is exactly what they want you to be, which is exactly why we created the show.
Yeah.
Daly, this was a heavy episode.
This was heavy. I'm glad that we went down these paths, though, because if we don't talk about it, right, if we are part of the group of people that shy away from these topics, then what difference are we making? Like, what is the point of going out, venturing out, and trying to do something if we're ultimately going to allow that negativity and that fear to take over and not let us explore something that might be crucial to the survival of a nation.
So listen, guys, if you're watching this, you found value from this episode, there's a real possibility this might get taken down. There's a real possibility we may get canceled.
Yeah.
So we're taking a risk by even talking about this. And it's fucking weird we have to even say this.
Yeah.
Right? But like, if you found value in this, or if there's something you want us to see, a topic that you want us to look into, we want to look into it.
Yeah.
We want to dive in. We want to find the truth because we're truth seekers. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you want us to look into. And if you found value from the show, please share it with your friends, your family. Hit the subscribe button. It means the world to us. Thank you so much.